Okay? Same thing is going to apply to a chuckle, but your chuckle is a faster rhythm and it's more aggressive. The grunts I was doing there are cow calling grunts. They're grunts that bulls use to locate and call cows, right along with that real mellow, clean bugle that you'll hear. A bull, when he's aggressive, produces a fast rhythm or a chuckle, and that's produced with a very deep, heavy growl, screaming bugle, and then a very fast rhythm at the end like this. Now, keep in mind when I'm doing this call, I change one thing. I bring my tongue back up to that diaphragm as I'm inhaling, just close enough to where the diaphragm vibrates by itself. And that's the part that I want to see come into the point where, boom, all of a sudden I've got a chuckle and I've got a back sound coming into it. You can hear the inhale and exhale, or the vibration of inhale and exhale, as I pull air back across that diaphragm. Very, very important. Now, to go through the different sounds of the bugle, you've got to learn to change everything I just taught you and reverse it. So instead of coming from a high note where you have pressure in on the diaphragm to start, we're going to start with no pressure on the call at all. We're going to bring the tongue up close enough to the diaphragm to where as you blow air across it, you're going to hear a slow, soft sound like a goose. Okay, the bugle is made with a full lung of air. That's your bugle, and then at the last part of your bugle, when you come off your high note, you pop your high note and you inhale for your starting of your rhythm. And that's where you start your rhythm of breathing. Okay, this is your bugle of a cow calling bugle that's produced by a bull. That's a real mellow, clean bugle, and I won't put the grunts on it this time. I'll do that in a minute, but we'll start off with just a bugle. This is a bugle of what a lot of people call a medium bull, but in actuality, it's just a bull calling for cows. That's all it is, just a clean, clear bugle, and usually there's no growl to it. Sometimes they come off the end of it with a little bit of a growl or a groan, but most of the time, it's just a clean, clear bugle. You see how I put the rhythm of the grunts on there, how the rhythm's slowed down and drawn out? That's a bull calling cows. That's the full bugle of a bull calling cows. Now, if a bull's aggressive, he's going to put the growl in with the bugle. He's going to put a lot of aggression into it. So what you're going to look for then is you're going to look for that hum coming out of your voice. That not a that's a diaphragm caller's growl. This is designed so you only have to hum, like you're humming a song. And I'll do a bugle without and then with the hum. Okay, here's with the hum added. That's the big difference. You can put a lot of aggression with that. You can go as deep and as long as you want to go with the growl. You can put the growl at the end of it if you want to, as well as the beginning. It's all designed on how you want to perceive you as a bull, and what you're doing as far as how the bull's responding to you on the other end. Okay, here's an aggressive bull with the aggressive chuckle on the end of it. And there's your full aggressive bugle. Now you can distinctly hear the two. The cow calling bugle is more well used for myself as far as how many more bulls I will call in with a non-aggressive bugle as the cow calling bugle versus the aggressive challenge bugle. It figured out in our study that we did that about 75% of the bulls out there are calling to locate cows, because that's about the whole base of the rut. The rut is calling cows and breeding cows, not fighting. So your cow calling techniques are involved with or without the bugle. And I've called them both ways. And it can really vary from year to year on the types of calls you'll need to use. It also varies from day to day. As the rut matures, you want to start off at the very beginning of our bugling season with aggressive calls, raking, the pecking order type calls, because that's what's going on during that time, is that pecking order. After about the 5th or 6th day of the rut, our pecking order is pretty much done and over with, and now I say it's called a quiet time. And there's about 10 days of quiet time there where the bulls and cows are collecting each other. They're doing a lot of bugling at night, but they're not being very talkative during the daytime. And this can vary from year to year, especially on the calendar dates. Calendar dates are most important because you want to watch your calendar dates. Every 7 years they change. Every year they change one day, but every 7 years they'll change a full week. So pay attention to your calendar days. This is 2006. 2007, we're going to have one more day of this calendar run, and then all of a sudden in 2008 it's going to jump clear back around to where our season will close on the 28th of September here in Oregon instead of on the 23rd of September like it is going to be this next year. So you can see there's quite a jump there, a full week that can put you in and out of that rut. So pay attention to that. The other thing you have to pay attention to when you're calling is your weather fronts. Weather fronts can really change the type of bugling you need to do, whether it be your normal loud bugles or very soft, quiet bugles. When barometric pressure change happens, weather fronts come in with rain, they can shut up elk for 2 or 3 days at a time. And when that rain's on, the elk will get real quiet. Well, you have to also get real quiet because you can't be the only bull in the woods that's screaming. Barometric pressure is what controls that vocal side of the rut. So the rut will always continue and always go at the same time, the same, that's adjusted by the amount of daylight you have in a day. But your vocal sounds are controlled by the weather. If you have good cold mornings, I'm talking 18, 20 degree mornings, and you have 70 or 80 degree days, you can't get any better hunting than that. That's the best bugling weather you can get. Your bulls will start talking about 5:30, 6 o'clock in the afternoon, go till dark, and in the morning, half hour before daylight, is a good time to be out there to call them all the way into most of the time about 10, 11 o'clock. I've had bulls talk to me all day long if the temperatures are right. But, they got to be consistent. Your weather front, especially during our season that we hunt here in Oregon, will have a lot of different barometric pressure changes occurring at that time because that's the time of the change of the year. That's the fall coming in. So we have storm fronts that come in. We have hot temperatures. Just to give you an example, 2006, our hunt at 2006 was almost 100 degree temperatures through the first 2 weeks of the season. And then we went from there to a dramatic change of having 2 to 4 inches of snow on the ground overnight. So you can see a huge dramatic change there, and that really messed up the season for the whole state of Oregon. And everybody I've talked to so far has seen a huge dramatic change for this last season because the bulls were just not talking like they used to. Not used to, but normally would be talking on a good year. Hopefully this next year will be another good year. So anyway, the type of calls I taught you through this little segment here should really make a difference in learning the call. The different places that you put your tongue is all based on the cow call, the grunt, and the bark. And that's a inward pressure to start with the tip of your tongue and controlling it with your back pressure in your cheeks, that air pressure. And then your bugle from 0 pressure on the diaphragm up to that high note. And keep this in mind, all the sounds that you produce for an elk either come from a high note or go to a high note. And so the high note is the most important part of learning a call. If you can't produce a good clean high note, you're going to have trouble and you're going to struggle doing all your sounds because your high note is the most important part of any of the calls. Even if you can't produce a perfect bugle every time, as long as you're consistent in that bugle and you can hit that high note when you do it, then you'll be a true good bugler. I know a lot of guys that sound pretty sick, but they still achieve their high note each time. And so that high note is very important, and it's got to be the proper high note. So listen to what I do when I call on this tape. Practice with me as we go through the different calls, and you'll become a real good bugler. And pick up some of my other DVDs, some of my other videos. I teach you out in the woods on National Forest. Our company's based off National Forest calling on all of our calling products, and we are successful almost every single year. And we have different techniques of calling that will really, really make you an extremely good bugler and be very successful. I teach a lot of classes every year over the United States in the Northwest here, and all my students are out there bugling bulls now. And in fact, 2006, my class over here in Redmond, Oregon, we had 3 students bag bulls, never killed a bull in their life after taking the class. So they were very, very tickled. Got a lot of neat phone calls from them, and a lot of good stories from them. So hey, I hope you enjoy the tape, and thanks for buying my products.
Now that I've taught you how to use your Dominator elk call, let's go out into the